home of the brave. A mother's jobs are never truly finished. Elise understood this instinctively from the moment her son entered the world. For what felt like the 100th time, she found herself by his bedside, diligently repairing the quilt that had unexpectedly become his most cherished possession, a relic with a story as intricate as its stitched-together fabric. To label it merely a quilt seemed a stretch, as it comprised a myriad of oddly shaped swatches meticulously sewn layer upon layer. Its thickness enveloped her son, retaining the warmth of his small body as he drifted into dreams. Elise felt compelled to mend the inevitable rips, an homage to the anonymous creator and an expression of her love for the little boy who held the quilt dear. "I love how cool it feels when I first get into bed," her son remarked on the initial night he wrapped himself in the aged quilt. "But before long, it warms up, and I'm snug as a bug in a rug. Where did you get it?" Rather than burdening the wide-eyed child with mundane details, Elise spun a tale. "It was brought over on the Mayflower by the Pilgrims," she answered, delighting her son. "Made from fabric pieces across Europe, it's the first blanket used by the first Americans." This white lie birthed a cherished tradition. As the quilt unraveled, so did Elise's fabricated tales of its storied past. Each night, she sat by his bedside, continuing the true story of the quilt. "During the Revolutionary War, General Cornwallis captured your quilt and used it for warmth," Elise wove an intricate narrative. "It was only returned after the surrender at Yorktown." "Yorktown?" "Yes, Yorktown," she said with a smile. "George Washington took it and used it during his presidency." "Has my blanket been to the White House?" "Indeed," Elise replied with a wink. "But not because of George Washington. John Adams was the first president to live in the White House, who took my blanket there." "That's a story for later," Elise replied, kissing her son goodnight. "Now sleep and I'll continue the story next time." Unfortunately, Elise had too many occasions to continue the blanket's tale as her son battled debilitating headaches. The pain, initially diagnosed as migraines, was far more sinister. Many nights, she comforted him with a cold washcloth, her soothing voice, and the quilt's imaginary history. During quiet nights, Elise meticulously repaired the quilt, yearning for a way to mend her son. Her soft song filled a room, a melody she had woven since her own youth, creating unique tunes for each moment. The first time the quilt made it to the White House was after Abraham Lincoln was elected president, Elise said during one night's continuation. "The pain demanded more frequent storytelling, but the distraction and smiles it brought were worth it. Abraham Lincoln used my quilt too." "Of course he did," Elise responded, tickling her son. "Mount Rushmore was made to showcase all the presidents who used your blanket." A basin of cold water accompanied Elise during these nightly sessions, offering relief to her son's throbbing head. Moistening the cloth, she wiped his forehead, providing momentary respite from the pain. If all went well, he would fall asleep to the tale of his blanket, finding solace in dreams. "Did you know your blanket went to the moon?" Elise asked one day. "Neil Armstrong used it for a picnic with Buzz Aldrin." The absurdity led to spontaneous laughter, a temporary escape from their harsh reality. "Is Buzz Lightyear named after Buzz Aldrin?" "As a matter of fact, he was," Elise replied with a smile. "Buzz Aldrin gifted your blanket to Buzz Lightyear, so it has been to infinity and beyond." Days turned into a routine of doctor visits and hospital stays, followed by nights of storytelling and quilt repairs. Elise did everything in her power to extend the narrative, intertwining hope with each chapter. The night she completed the story mirrored countless others. Elise, in her favorite chair next to her son's bed, struggled to breathe. "And then I found it at a flea market. I knew you had to have it, so I brought it home." Tears welled in Elise's eyes as she stitched the last seam. Holding up the repaired quilt, Memories flooded back. "It's finally fixed. It's perfect," she said aloud, tears streaming. "I love how cool it feels too." Summoning every ounce of strength, she laid the beloved quilt on the empty bed. A mother's job, she had hoped, was never truly finished. With nothing left to do for her son, she sank back into the chair and silently wept. Whispers of the past. It was approaching 2 a.m, and the entire household was enveloped in the tranquility of slumber except for one individual. The room was silent, save for the rhythmic murmur of sheep counting. As she reached the tally of 607, she opened her eyes, desperately seeking an alternative method to coax herself into a restful sleep. In the grand abode known as Hillcrest Manor, Lily, the firstborn of Langston and Martha Harrison, found herself grappling with insomnia. Despite reciting pleas of "I need to sleep, I want to sleep, I must sleep," the elusive embrace of slumber remained distant. The Harrisons were the town's most affluent family, residing in the historic mansion that stood amidst rolling hills. Langston, the family patriarch, held sway over the local businesses, inheriting the fortune after a tragic incident claimed the lives of his parents and 6 siblings. Raised by a distant aunt, Langston, through grit and determination, restored the mansion to its former glory and expanded the family enterprises. The Harrison name commanded respect in the town, intertwined with stories of ghosts haunting Hillcrest Manor. Lily, the most inquisitive of the Harrison children, explored the vast property with her companion, Rufus, a Great Dane. Lily's nightly routine included waiting for her father in the library, where they shared a love for books and family tales. However, Lily's nights were marred by persistent insomnia, a concern that troubled Langston. Attempts to remedy her sleeplessness included warm milk with honey and counting sheep, but peace remained elusive. One midnight, unable to withstand the restlessness, Lily ventured out in search of the source of her sleep troubles. Accompanied by Rufus and armed with a flashlight, she navigated the silent mansion. The darkened halls echoed with creaks and shadows, creating an eerie atmosphere. Her quest for a ladder to investigate an owl's call led Lily through the mansion's various rooms. In her pursuit, a frightening shadow sent her running, though it turned out to be a false alarm. The impromptu escape led her to a seldom visited area near her parents' bedroom and the attic entrance. Defying the family's prohibition against playing in the antique-filled space, Lily, with Rufus, ascended to the attic. Among forgotten memories, she uncovered a worn-out journal belonging to a long-lost relative. Enthralled by tales of sleepless nights and unfulfilled dreams, Lily's curiosity overcame her, and she read the journal until slumber claimed her. This accidental discovery sparked a journey of exploration for Lily. She delved into the attic's hidden journals, learning about her ancestors' lives and experiences. Inspired, she transformed her sleepless nights into a wellspring of creativity, crafting magical stories that captivated readers across the country. Lily's insomnia, once a burden, became the catalyst for her literary success. She embraced the wakeful hours, recognizing them as an opportunity to delve into the depths of her imagination. As her stories gained acclaim, Lily discovered that the very things keeping her awake at night had become the sources of her brilliance. In the end, she celebrated her sleepless nights as the conduits to a world of enchanting tales waiting to be told.